أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the history of our community, particularly the Khoja Shia Ishnashri in East Africa, there has been some tumultuous event which has affected us quite deeply. For example, the event of Asian exodus from Uganda, the crisis in Somalia in 1990. These events expelled the community and forced them to migrate from the countries that they were settled in. In 1964, exactly 50 years ago, our community, Khoja Shia Ishnashri community in Zanzibar, which has been settled from 1880 and has built the first Khoja Shia Ishnashri mosque in Zanzibar, were faced with a tumultuous event, the 1964 revolution of Zanzibar. What happened in Zanzibar at that time was suffocating and very cruel and very violent. What happened was that lots of people were killed innocently, they were burned, and the infants were slain. It wasn't a tea party, according to Mwalimu Nyerere, a president of Tanzania. 6 years later, in 1970, there was another crisis faced by the community in Zanzibar, which drained them emotionally and psychologically. And that was that the government of Zanzibar at the time issued a decree of forced marriage, that is, to marry the daughters of the community without their consent. Obviously, the community plunged into this particular crisis. And what happened is a story which this particular book relates. It is a story about 4 Zanzibarian girls who were married forcibly, snatching their human dignity, denying their human dignity, denying their human rights. It is a story about the families of these daughters who were duty-bound to protect these families, these daughters. And this is a story about justice and rights. Above all, it is a story about our own community, the courage of our own community, the individuals who played their part courageously in that crisis. And above all, it is also the unity institutions of our community. The credit goes to Marhum Sibtain Panjwani. He was a secretary of Dar es Salaam Jamaat during that time, and at that vantage point, he produced notes and records of that particular crisis. In 1996, when I became Secretary General of the World Federation, I used to visit Dar es Salaam and I used to sit with him, and we used to have long chats about the community. In 1999, he requested me to write a book about this particular episode. At that time, the president of the World Federation was Marhum Mullah Sahib, Marhum Ali Asghar M.M. Jafar. And he supported this particular project of writing the book on the events which affected our communities. And he emphasized the fact that when we write about these events, about our community, the young generation who were born after 1970 would be able to understand the value of the community. Marhum Sibtain Panjwani was also a founder member of the Bilal Muslim Mission of Tanzania. He left a mark in our community which is going to reverberate for quite a long time within our community. He cast a long shadow in the community. This particular book, the title of this book, is Crying Out for Freedom, the event of forced marriages in 1970s Zanzibar. And I want to finish by just reading a couple of paragraphs so you can understand the gist of his feelings. I have set out to write this partly for the benefit of my friends and community, and partly, it must be admitted, for the pleasures and chagrin of recalling the past with all its tragedies and triumphs. For me, time is getting short, and I have decided to go ahead and write this piece. I know a great number of things which could hurt many. I mention only those actions which have, in my opinion, been partly responsible for the misery of the family of these poor girls, and from which I hope lessons may be learned for the future. Some may well resent even these truths. I have avoided naming each girl by her name, as most of them are already married now, and I do not wish to open up the old wounds. I also know of the courageous contributions from many members of the Khoja Shia Ishnashri Muslim community, and from those outside of it, including Muallimu Julius Nyerere, who took a firm tactical stand as well as the brave stand taken by the girls and their parents against heavy odds. Above all, I want to narrate this event because, at its core, it is inspiring. It is a story of our endeavors to fight for justice. It is a story of how to work with others for a just cause. It is a story of our unity against adversity. It is a story of our faith in action. This book is available in the bookshop. And before I go away from this podium, I don't see the president of the Hujjat Jamaat, but I can see the past president of Hujjat Jamaat, past president of Council of European Jamaat, and past secretary of the Jamaat that was involved at the time. He was a secretary of a Jamaat involved at that time. Let us welcome Ahmad Bhai. Can I also welcome Zulfikar Bhai, please, to just donate this book to Stanmore Jamaat. Zulfikar Bhai. Speech करवाने हैं आपको. He's a son of Sibtain Panjwani, marhum.
I accept on behalf of London Jamaat. Thank you very much.
Let us recite Surah Fatiha for marhum Sibtain Panjwani, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala place him with Ma'asumin alayhi salam. Fatiha.